We're going to be going over the top 15 best loadout slash pack-a-punch weapons here in Cold War Zombies Year 2. Over this game's life cycle, they've added a bunch of DLC weapons, they've buffed and nerfed a bunch of stuff, but they're pretty much done doing that. So this should be the final complete list. Nothing in this list is going to change. The top 15 weapons in here are probably going to be the top 15 best weapons in Cold War Zombies of all time. Before we start the list, keep in mind, this is based off of round-based modes, not Outbreak. These are the top 15 round-based weapons. They do perform differently in Outbreak. Same thing, this is only for high rounds. We're not comparing the weapons on low rounds. These are the top 15 best high rounding round-based mode weapons. Now, starting off in the number 15 position, yes, we have the Gallo, and this is going to be a little controversial. I know a lot of people love this weapon, but it's good in Outbreak, but for round-based, it falls off relatively quickly. If you've ever gone to health cap in Cold War Zombies, you know this weapon just is not it when it comes to high rounding. It's great for early rounds. I'll usually start off with this weapon, but yeah, I usually end up ditching it fairly early on, because once you get to about half health with the zombies, this thing just doesn't hold the damage that it does like other weapons, and all 14 weapons above this are going to be way better than the Gallo when it comes to high rounds. And now for the best attachments on the Gallo: no optic. For the muzzle, we've got the infantry V choke. For the barrel, we've got the task force barrel. The body is the SWAT 5 MW. The magazine is the bottom one, and the stock is the duster stock. Boom. Now coming in at the number 14 slot, we got the Groza assault rifle. At one point in time, this was the best AR in Cold War Zombies. However, since then, new ARs have been added and other ARs have been buffed, but it is still an amazing choice. If you're looking for something new to use, this thing has amazing handling. Almost no recoil, especially once it's pack-a-punch and you got all your perks, and the hip fire is great. So if you're training around with this thing, it absolutely wrecks. So and a lot of people, I feel like, don't know about the Groza. This is a weapon I don't see people using often in zombies, but it is really good and worth the try. And for the attachments, once again, no optic. I like iron sights. The optic's very subjective. Run whatever you want, but I run no optic on this. The muzzle is the Flash Guard 7. The barrel is the bottom one. The body is the GRU 5 MW. The underbarrel is the Bruiser Grip. The magazine's the bottom one. The handle's the Speed Grip, and the stock is the Duster Pad. Coming in at the number 13 spot is the only LMG on this entire list, the MG82. This is another weapon I think a lot of people are sleeping on. This LMG does a lot more damage than every other LMG in the entire game. The only downside of this LMG is it runs out of ammo quickly, but if you've played Cold War Zombies, you know there are ammo crates all over the place, and it really doesn't take much to get ammo. Plus, Mule Kick's in the game. Once you buy Mule Kick as a perk, they drop ammo continuously, so you shouldn't even ever have to buy ammo. But yeah, besides that, besides the ammo factor, this thing dominates every other LMG, and it's not even close. It's also got super great hip fire, and if you haven't tried it, highly recommend it. For attachments, once again, no optic. The muzzle is the Flash Guard. The barrel is the Task Force barrel. The body is the SWAT 5 MW. The underbarrel is the Bruiser Grip. The magazine's the bottom one. The handle is the Speed Tape, and the stock is the Duster Stock. At number 12, we have the newest addition to Black Ops Cold War, the Vargo 52, and if you've used this weapon, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This thing holds up super well on high rounds, and if you haven't unlocked it, it's 1000% worth getting on unlocking, because it is one of the better weapons in the entire game. I did rank it above the Groza because it just packs a little bit more punch, has a little bit better fire rate, and overall this edges ahead of the Groza just by a tad. So definitely get on, unlock it if you haven't. For attachments, no optic. The muzzle is the Flash Guard 5. The barrel is the Task Force barrel. The body is the GRU 5 MW. The underbarrel is the Bruiser Grip. The magazine's the bottom one. The handle's the Speed Tape, and the stock is the Duster Stock. Number 11. This is going to be a pretty controversial pick, but at number 11, I've got the Hauer 77. For Outbreak, this is the best weapon in the entire game. If this was an Outbreak list, number 1 would be Hauer 77. However, we're talking about round-based modes, and once you get to higher rounds, the Hauer just doesn't cut it. Once you get to health cap, you can only kill 1 zombie per shot, and the time it takes to rechamber the shotgun, all other weapons on this list will have already killed multiple weapons. So this just doesn't kill fast enough. Everything else higher on this list is going to kill faster once you get to higher rounds, but Outbreak, this would be number 1. Attachments, no optic. For the muzzle, we got the infantry V choke. The barrel is the Task Force barrel. The body is the SWAT 5 MW. The magazine is the bottom one, and the stock is the Duster Pad. Number 10, we got the OTS-9. This is actually the only SMG on this entire list. Unfortunately, SMGs here in Cold War Zombies just aren't that powerful compared to everything else, but this little SMG packs a massive punch. The Tech 9 used to be the best SMG, but unfortunately they nerfed that for multiplayer, and then that heavily affected it here in zombies. But this OTS-9 pretty much looks like the Caparis, is really good, worth the shot if you haven't already, and it can hold itself on round 100. I've taken this on multiple high round attempts, and it actually really just, it stands out. It is definitely best in class for SMGs. For attachments, no optic, the muzzle's the Flashguard 9, the barrel's the Task Force barrel, the body is the GRU 5MW, the underbarrel's the Bruiser Grip, the magazine's the bottom one, the handle's the Speed Tape, and the stock's the Duster stock. Now coming in at the number 9 spot, we have the Streetsweeper. This performs the exact opposite of the other two shotguns. The Hauer and the Gallo are both really good on low rounds, but kind of drop off as you get to higher rounds. The Streetsweeper sucks on lower rounds because of its slow reload time, and yeah, look at that. But once you start getting perks and stuff, this slowly becomes the best shotgun in the game. On higher rounds, this performs really good. You just got to get set up first, especially with Ring of Fire. The amount of damage you can put out in a short amount of time with this weapon, you can annihilate any boss, any camping strategy. This thing's insane. And a strategy I'll often use is I'll use Mule Kick, and I'll use 2 weapons. And as soon as this needs to reload, switch to your secondary weapon, and Mule Kick will reload it while it's in your back pocket. And that's why I honestly think the Streetsweeper is better than the other 2 shotguns for high rounding, because it's just got way more usability. However, I wouldn't recommend this for lower rounds. Try to get out of the box if possible. For the attachments, no optic. The muzzle is the Flash Cone 12. The barrel is the Task Force barrel. The body is the SWAT 5MW. The magazine's the bottom one, and the stock is the Duster stock. Coming in at the number 8 spot, we have the Akimbo Magnums, and Akimbo is extremely powerful here in Cold War Zombies. Obviously, if you have 2 of a weapon, you're doubling the damage, and doubling the damage of the pistols make them insane. The only downside of the Akimbo weapons is it's a little bit harder to be accurate. These are kind of a high skill weapon. If you are able to hit your shots though, all of the Akimbo weapons do a lot more damage than the shotguns. The shotguns don't even close compete to the damage of the pistols, but they are a little bit harder to use. You've got to be able to accurately hit those headshots while hip firing. Deadshot helps it out a little bit, but it does take a little bit of practice. But the Magnums, insanely powerful, take a little bit to get used to, but I do recommend using them if you haven't already. And for the attachments, no optic, the muzzle's the Flash Guard, the barrel's the Task Force barrel, the body is the SWAT 5MW, the magazine's the bottom one, no handle, and the stock is obviously dual wield. Jumping into the number 7 spot, we have our first melee weapon on the list, and that is the Sais. The Sais are a very unique melee weapon. It's the only melee weapon in the entire game that allows you to get insane jumps. Look at how high you jump with this weapon compared to a normal melee weapon, and spawning in with Outbreak allows you to run across the map super quickly on low rounds. Like, look at this speed. This is no perks. We don't have stamina up, we don't have anything, and it stacks with PhD, making it even better, and it allows you to do super cool stuff like this on Firebase E. You can completely skip the first door by just jumping up here, and that's not even a glitch. The devs said that they aren't going to fix that, and this was intentional with the release of the Sais, which is super freaking cool. Also, the Sais are the quickest knifing melee weapon in the entire game. However, they don't do as much damage as the other melee weapons, and they do not one hit all the way on health cap, and that's the downside of their quick knife ability. For the attachments, I run the Zombie Bunny Charm because the Zombie Bunny Charm is sick. Coming in the number 6 spot, we've got the M16, and this is the definition of consistency. Since this game launched, the M16 has always been one of the best weapons. After every buff, every nerf, every addition, this has always been just an absolute powerhouse in this game, and it just feels so smooth. The hip fire of it, the ADS, the power, it is just super consistent, and I mean, dude, it's always been absolutely amazing. However, it doesn't have as high of a DPS or usefulness as the other stuff in this list, but you can never go wrong while using the M16 here in Cold War Zombies. Attachments. The optic is the Quick Dot LED. The muzzle is the Flash Guard 5. The barrel is the Strike Teen, super important for that damage and fire rate. The body is the SWAT 5MW. The underbarrel is the Bruiser Grip. The magazine's the bottom one. The handle's the Speed Tape, and the stock is the Duster stock. Here we are now at the top 5 weapons in Cold War Zombies after all patches. Starting off in the number 5 spot, the Akimbo Amps. These are just better Akimbo Magnums. These things are way easier to hit your shot at longer ranges, and they do more overall damage. These things absolutely beam zombies at a far range, and these things are good at whatever you do. These things are insane for the Legion boss fight. They're insane at everything. They really are. If you have not used the Akimbo Amps, you are 100% missing out. You should definitely get on and try them out, and these are something you should always keep in a class. These things just melt anything. They melt bosses, they melt enemies. The one downside, once again, is they run out of ammo quickly, but as we've just explained earlier in this video, running out of ammo in Cold War doesn't mean much. Just buy more ammo or put on Mule Kick, and you'll never have to worry about buying ammo again. Now for the attachment on these bad boys, no optic. The muzzle's the Flash Guard 9, the barrel's the Task Force barrel, the body is the SWAT 5MW, the magazine's the bottom one, and the stock is of course dual wield. Coming in the number 4 spot is our last full auto weapon on the list, that being the FFAR. And this thing is so good because of its insane fire rate. A lot of weapons in Cold War are affected by damage damage rounding. The slower shooting the weapon is, the more it's affected by damage rounding. However, the fast fire rate of the FFAR makes it so it has almost no damage rounding. So once you get to higher rounds, there's no full auto weapon in this game that competes with this. This thing will drop zombies quicker, faster than anything else. It is just an absolute goat of a weapon, and I highly recommend it. For the attachments, the optic is the Microflex LED, the muzzle is the Flashguard 5, the barrel is the Task Force, the body is the SWAT 5 MW, the underbarrel is the Bruiser Grip, the magazine's the bottom one, the handle's the Speed Tape, and the stock is the Duster Stock. In the number 3 spot, we actually have the highest DPS weapon in the entire game. The Akimbo Diamattis do more damage per second than any other bullet weapon. However, there are a few downsides. Once again, it is an Akimbo weapon, so you're going to have to be accurate. It's not like a shotgun that you can just pick up and do well with. You've got to kind of learn how to use these, but once you do learn how to use these appropriately, this thing's going to blow any other weapon out of the water. Any other shotgun, any other full auto weapon just won't even compete closely to these things. But on top of that, there is another downside. These aren't full auto, meaning you've got to constantly pull down and click the triggers, and if you're going for high rounds, your hand's going to get tired. It just is, and that is a pretty big downside with this weapon. So if you are prone to getting your hands tired while constantly clicking, you might want to skip out on these and use something else. But if you are looking for raw, pure damage, the Akimbo Diamattis are where it's at. For the attachments on these beasts, no optic. The muzzle's the Flashguard 9. The barrel is the Task Force barrel. The body is the SWAT 5 MW. The magazine's the bottom one. And the stock is the dual wield. Coming in at the number 2 spot, once again, we've got a fairly controversial pick, that being the E-Tool. I know most people would put this at number 1, and I feel like a lot of people are going to disagree with me saying this should have been number 1, not number 2. However, there was a few updates that happened to Cold War making me put this in number 2 instead of the number 1 spot. If you don't know about the E-Tool, this is probably the most versatile weapon in the entire game. It's the single best weapon to spawn in with, and this thing can do things at high round that other weapons just simply can't. One, you run faster with the E-Tool than any other weapon in the game. There is no weapon in the game that is not a wonder weapon that you can run this fast with, and it is super good for recoveries. On high rounds, when you go down, if you have an E-Tool as a secondary, you're really easily able to run to Wonder Fizz and get all of your perks back. But on top of that, having a melee weapon allows you to use ammo mods with wonder weapons. So you could be grinding for high rounds using a weapon like the Cerberus, the ray gun, any wonder weapon in the entire game this works with, and this allows you to put ammo mods on them. You guys know Shatter Blast is insanely powerful in this game. However, you can't put ammo mods on wonder weapons. If you go here, it's completely locked out. However, you can knife with a secondary melee weapon, and it's going to use that ammo mod. So while you're grinding for high rounds, more than likely you're going to be using a wonder weapon, meaning you're not able to use your secondary weapon. However, if the E-Tool is your secondary weapon, you're able to knife and occasionally get full effect of that ammo mod, allowing you to use the insanely power ammo mods on the wonder weapons. And that's why it completely dominates everything below this list. Besides the size, nothing else in this list allows you to do that. It doesn't allow you to use ammo mods on wonder weapons. And once it's fully upgraded, it will always be a one hit no matter what round. So if you get cornered, you're always going to be able to knife a zombie, activate Shatter Blast, and it is always going to kill the zombie you knife. As long as you max out the tier, max out the Pack-a-Punch, it will be a one hit all the way up to round 935. And that right there is why the E-Tool is getting the number 2 spot. I know a lot of people are going to consider this the number 1 spot, but for this guide here, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable putting it number 1. It's going to be making the number 2 spot. Before we head into the number 1 spot, if you're new here and want to sub, I would greatly appreciate that. And if you want to see us do more guides like this, we might do a damage ranking list for every single weapon class in the game. If you want us to break down all the ARs, SMGs, leave what class you'd like us to do that for down below. And on top of that, I got to give a massive thanks to everyone who left a like or a comment on this video, because it massively helps out my channel, especially when we make really long videos like this that take a lot of effort. And yeah, now for the number 1 spot. If it wasn't already painfully obvious, it's the M79. As soon as PhD Flopper was added to this game, this went from being one of the worst weapons in the game to straight up the most broken weapon. Like, this thing is insane. It's probably one of the most broken non-wonder weapons in COD history. You can spawn in, get PhD, and pretty much camp in any corner on any map to whatever round you want. You want to go to round 935? Honestly, I think anyone could probably do it on any map, and you just sit here. All you do is spam it. The range on it is ridiculous. It's not better than all of the wonder weapons, but there is a massive difference between this right here and the wonder weapons. The fact that you can spawn in with this. The ray gun can sometimes take hours to get out of the box. This, you can spawn in. You can just upgrade it as you go. But look at the range on this. This has more range than the ray gun. And it also stuns the zombies. You see how the zombies fall down back there? That's what makes this so powerful. It's not even because of the damage it does. It's just, it's got a giant wider range of effect. And it knocks everything down. So you have time to shoot off multiple shots and just keep going. This isn't without Ring of Fire. I mean, we can use Ring of Fire. And now you can just go even harder with it. But yeah, I think pretty much everyone agrees the M79 is just busted because it is, I mean, it's a pseudo wonder weapon. This can completely replace a wonder weapon where other weapons on this list can't do that. The other weapons on this list cannot get you to 935 just by itself without it taking an insane amount of time. This can though. So with that, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. Like I said before, if you want to see all the tier lists for every other weapon, or if you want to make a video where we rank every single weapon in order, let me know which video you want to see below. And if you watched all the way in, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for watching. If you left a like or a comment, thank you so much for that as well, because it definitely helps me out. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace. I want to give a massive thanks to those who became a Twitch sub or a YouTube member, and an extra special thanks to those who taken above and beyond and became an Unlock Plus Plus member here on YouTube. We got the GOAT Positive Expert, the most OP Gobblegum ever, Round Robin, the 2x Trader Purple, the absolute legend Nick G, the massive Chad Noah, and the craziest story arc ever, Scar.